Good morning, footy fans. What a weekend of footy we have ahead of us. The AFL Grand Final, the SNFL Preliminary Final. Starting off with the AFL first, obviously Collingwood taking on the St Kilda Football Club. It's bound to be a high intensity and I think a fairly low scoring game, Chris. There's been a lot of talk this week about St Kilda's hurt in last year's Grand Final when they lost to Geelong, sort of spurring them on in tomorrow's game. I think it's the fact that they've been through Grand Final week that'll hold them in better stead. I think they'll come out of the blocks pretty quickly, maybe leading at quarter time. I think Collingwood will use their depth of their midfield and just the class all over the ground. They'll win this.
Look, you touched on the scoring side of things. I think that Collingwood can kick 15 goals or so. I'm not so sure if St Kilda can do that unless the likes of Adam Schneider bobs up and kick 4 or 5. And Justin Kazitsky, who is the man that's going to really have to stand up, because we know that Collingwood are going to sit very hard on Nick Riewoldt. They set up very well from the back half, the likes of Brendan Goddard sending it into Del Santo Hayes. That's going to be a real key to it. It's going to have to be very clean, crisp delivery. I think Clinton Jones will probably get first crack at Dane Swan. Who St Kilda match up and Alan Didak is going to be critical, and certainly Travis Cloke there as well, because we know that Cloke is the sort of guy that can bob up with 4 or 5 goals. And also Lee Brown's going to be a real wild card in this game as well. Looking forward to this one enormously. It's going to be, I'd say, fairly close for the first half, but I reckon Collingwood to just run over the top there in the second half. I don't think it's going to be as close as it was when they last met in the grand final back in '66.
Coming back locally, we've got the SNFL Preliminary Final on Sunday between Norwood and Woodville West Torrens. Norwood were pretty good last week for 3 quarters. They lost that first quarter and that really hurt them in the end. Woodville West Torrens were just too good for Glenelg. Saw them out in straight sets yet again, which is pretty unfortunate if you're a Tigers fan. Both sides with a lot of run all over the park. They love the wide open wings and the expanses of Amy Stadium. I think Norwood they've won the last 2 between the 2 clubs. I think they'll make that 3.
Look, you'd say so on form, but don't underestimate the Eagles. Their biggest problem is going to be the medical room stringing. We know there'll be no Lewis, no Treby, possibly not Henschel, possibly Salter and Broadbent are doubtful, Redden doubtful. There's a lot of guys that are doubtful, and if they do go in, they'll be carrying injuries. You can't carry unfit blokes into a final. Just ask Geelong and just ask Fremantle with that side of things. Nord mucked around with it too much in the back half last week, Thringy. That was part of their problem, and when they did get it into attack, they also chipped it around far too long. They need to play some more unselfish football, if anything else, and just go long and direct more than anything else. Don't underestimate the Eagles, folks. They are a real big chance. They're in this up to their absolute ears at the moment. I just think that Nord, with having probably more players that are less likely to be carrying injuries, if that makes sense, might come to the fore there. And I reckon the Redlegs will just edge ahead towards the end and get a probably 2 to 3 goal win, but the Eagles in this up to their eyeballs.
Collingwood by 11 points for mine, Norwood by 4 goals. Chris?
Collingwood by 4 to 6 goals and Nord by 2 to 3.
There you go, 2 massive games of footy. If you haven't got a ticket to the AFL Grand Final, make sure you tune in tomorrow. Make sure you get down to Amy Stadium on Sunday for the preliminary final. And we'll be back next week for the big one, the SNFL Grand Final. We'll see you then.